You're such an asshole.
I don't know why there's that tail end. Everyone keeps changing something. There's a lengthier tail end at the intro. Anyway, here we are. assholeconsulting.com. Got questions, go there. Cappy's got answers. This is the fourth and final 4 out of 4, technically 5 out of 5 requests that Dre sent in a grouping of requests. Request number 4, do a video on your best economic idea yet, orgasms per capita. And for some reason, I misread that as BJ's per capita. But that's fine because if you hadn't figured it out, one, the amount of data isn't out there. Two, it would take some serious, it would, even though the topic may sound goofy, it would take some lengthier research and polling. And then, so I did not do a great and long and detailed economic analysis, plus I didn't charge you for one. I think, Dre, you knew this wasn't going to be, like, we weren't going to call in the Federal Reserve economists to do this and get some education assistants or professor assistants in on this one. So what I did, I measured BJ's per capita using sex frequency as a proxy, but you wanted orgasms, which is even more direct to sex frequency. So I looked up which countries have the most amount of sex. I then went and looked at their 10-year economic growth rate, and the best metric that came up within the amount of time I felt like researching it was Durex, the condom manufacturer. I don't even know if they did a poll. I think they just said, where do we sell the most condoms per capita? Which obviously would then indicate the most amount of sex per capita. And let me pull up the spreadsheet. You got a spreadsheet? Yes, I got a spreadsheet. So in order, this goes from the most sex to the 10th. They did the top 10. You got Greece, Brazil, Russia, China, Italy, Poland, Malaysia, Switzerland, Spain, and Mexico. It's all over the place. It's all, I don't know. Usually you see a trend like culturally, ethnically, weather-wise, it's all over. I don't know why I can't make heads or tails. Usually my economic eye could say, well, they all have this in common. I see nothing. And you know what else they don't have in common? They don't have in common economic growth rates either. When Greece came out at the top, I was like, oh, that's not good for my theory. And my theory, obviously, is the more men are getting laid, the higher the GDP is. Greece, because they're socialists, they voted in socialist government, figured they could just live off of government aid and everything. Their 10-year economic growth rate is 0.7, not even 1%. Brazil, 0.9. Russia, 0.8. China's the only one with a good economic growth rate, 5.5. Italy, 0.6. Poland, 3.6. Malaysia, well, you're out of left field over there in Southeast Asia. Okay, everybody's happy in Malaysia. What's going on? All right. Don't go to Indonesia. Don't go to Singapore. Go to Malaysia. They're having fun for whatever reason. Switzerland. Okay, I thought you guys are kind of stuffy, but they're having some sex. Spain, that kind of makes sense. And then Mexico. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I can see that. But let me go through their growth rates. Italy, 0.6. Poland, 3.6. That's up there. Malaysia, 4.2. Switzerland, 1.9. Spain, 2.1. Mexico, 1.2. All GDP. 10-year annual average GDP growth rates. And so the average economic growth rate is 2.15, which is very, very, very average. Maybe even a little low when you factor in some of these are evolving, expanding, growing economies. And so with this very limited study, already the data is pointing against my theory that the more a country has sex, the higher its GDP growth rate. And I don't see it here. I do not see it whatsoever. Matter of fact, this data, limited as it is, it stands out because usually you see something. Usually there's like, okay, this correlates a little, or here's an obvious variable I should follow up on. This data set stands out because I see nothing. Like there's zero correlation. There's nothing going on. Like what does Brazil and Malaysia have in common? what does Mexico and Russia have in common? You know, like there's no weather, there's no nothing. Religion doesn't it's all over the place. And if we want to do it, we'd have to do it more thoroughly. We'd have to get like a measure. What you really want to do and what I'm thinking, although it should show up in the uh the GDP figures nationwide is you'd find out income per capita, like men who get more sex, what's their income per capita? And then you'd say, well, wait, there's the, good looking men tend to do better. Taller men tend to get, it's correlation, not causation. So good looking men tend to do better financially anyway. And since they're good looking, they also make more money. It's not the sex that's driving that. So then you'd have to look at married couples and say, okay, now that you're not banging other women, okay, how frequently does your wife give it to you? And then what's your income per capita, right? So right off the bat, a real quick litmus test doesn't look like sex or blowjobs or orgasms has any real bearing thus far on GDP growth. I'm more curious. I'm more curious about the lack of any. Nothing correlates. There's usually something. Nothing stands out here at all. Mexico, Spain, Switzerland, Malaysia, Poland, Italy, China, Russia, Brazil, and Greece. You couldn't get a more colorful group of countries together than that. So I'm sorry, Dre. It doesn't look like it. I'm sure if we did a more serious study, we might find something. I've still got to imagine. Well, it could be some of those like Greece and Italy are socialist countries where you're paid not to work. And so all these guys has got free time and maybe they just go around and have sex. I guess you like over here, what our poor people just have sex because you're all on welfare. You got nothing else to do. And you spit out kids. That could be it. It could be it. But yeah, I saw nothing. I see nothing going on there. We got any super chats. Oh, hang on. Wrong button. No super chats. Where did you found this in? It's the Durex poll on which countries have the most sex. Yeah, I like the thumbnail too. Thanks, Mark. Everyone likes that. You know what, Calix? That might be I'm curious. That I don't know if they're the richest people in America, but um I wonder they have a lot of kids, but they don't have birth control either. I wonder if they are mathematically wise the richest out there. All right. There we go. Questions, answers, asshole consulting. We'll see you guys later, Toodles.